Shalom, Naftali, good evening.
Great to be here. Shalom.
Thank you very much. In a few hours, President Trump will be addressing the public regarding the Iranian deal. We don't know exactly what he will be saying. So first of all, what do you think he will say? And more important, what will be the outcome?
Well, first of all, I want to thank all our great friends that came over and made this evening happen. I want to thank Ketzale, the founder. I want to thank the Rabbanit Melamed, Uzi Baruch, the Baruch clan, I guess. I want to thank members of Knesset, Moti Yogev, Elazar Stern, Women in Green, Mishpachat Goldin, and so many friends that are here that care so profoundly for Israel. This is a very important moment, defining moment, I'd almost say. I think there's a sense that it seems likely that President Trump will discontinue America's participation in the Iranian nuclear deal. That's the first step. The big question is how powerful and if and how powerful will the follow-up sanctions be. Now, people don't really understand all the details, so I just want to boil it down to the bottom line. The Iranian nuclear machine, imagine it's a car. It requires fuel. Fuel is money. And Iran's economy is not looking good. Their currency has deflated by 50% over the past year. It means if you go out and buy a falafel a year ago for 10 shekel, now it would cost 20 shekel with the same salary. So that's what's going on. Profound social, economic instability. All of this is a result of the fact that Iran is taking all its resources from its people and sending it on adventures far abroad. This is not what the Persian people want. The Persian people want to lead good lives. Now, if President Trump indeed implements powerful sanctions, that could be the extra mile we need to totally stop this car and put the Iranians in a position that they have an either-or position. Either you have an Iranian nuclear program or you have an economy. You cannot have both.
The pressure will come from the people?
I think the pressure, absolutely. The people, there's tremendous discontent there. You know, I've been studying the Persian people in Iran for over a year. Based on all my analysis, I would say that it's not far that the regime of these radical ayatollahs will end. Imagine the Soviet Empire in 1985, just 5 years before the collapse. I think it's unsustainable if they continue these adventures, megalomaniac adventures abroad. The whole regime will collapse, and this would not be a bad thing.
Did the presentation of the Prime Minister do good? Good for the Jews, good for the West?
Big time, absolutely. I fully back Prime Minister Netanyahu on every single action he's taken vis-a-vis Iran and Syria. You know, it's no secret that sometimes we disagree. There's no daylight between us on this. I back Prime Minister Netanyahu on the operation, on using the operation for international political moves and diplomatic moves, and this was vital for the moment we're going to see in just a few hours.
In less than a week, it's finally happening. Jerusalem will be all full of celebrations. The U.S. Embassy is coming to town. How do you answer those who say, wait, maybe it's not worth it? The Arab community, the Arab countries will be upset, maybe even in violence.
Yeah. You know, on the eve of... there we go.
This just in?
Yeah, it seems that President Trump has notified President Macron that indeed America is going to leave the deal. This is certainly big news. Yeah. I would say this is a national security interest of the United States of America. But I also would say that this is very meaningful for the Israeli people. And from this podium, I'd want to thank the American nation, the government, and President Trump for his courage in taking actions that others didn't. Thank you.
And others will, and we're seeing that others are, looking into the possibility. Now, regarding the PA, people are saying that it might upset the PA. Is there any partner there, especially following the Mahmoud Abbas statements about the Holocaust, about anti-Semitism?
Are you actually asking me that question?
It's a talkback.
No, I know. Abu Mazen is a shadow of a person, deep anti-Semite. It's already the third in line. We had Haj Amin al-Husseini, who was a good friend of Hitler. We had Arafat, who was a mega murderer of Jews. It seems that the Palestinians have a knack for choosing the very worst leaders possible. We do not hate the Arabs. They're here, we're here, we're not going anywhere. We're going to have to figure out how to live in coexistence together for the next future, for the near future. There will not be a second Palestinian state beyond the one that was founded in Gaza. There will not be one.
So regarding the one in Gaza, we're seeing some sort of balance, a delicate balance. It's a protest. We see the IDF being careful, some would say too careful, shooting at the protesters, at the terrorists. What should and could be done down south?
Well, anyone using a fire kite is a terrorist. He's not flying the kite for fun, right? They're out to burn fields and to burn houses and to burn Israelis. So a terrorist is a terrorist, and the IDF's policy is very clear, to view them as an enemy, and I fully back the IDF.
Let's end with something that's supposedly local, but it's very significant, the override law, or hitgabut, we call it in Hebrew. How do you explain it to those also from abroad who are saying the Knesset shouldn't harm the strength and the authority of the High Court in Israel? How do you explain this act?
So I'm a big believer also in the Supreme Court and in Israel's justice system. We need a strong justice system. However, the government needs to govern and the judges need to judge. What's happened over the past 25 years through the Aaron Barak activism move is that the Supreme Court has begun governing Israel on an ongoing basis on things that have nothing to do with human rights. I'll give you a few examples. They canceled a taxation bill just a while ago. For 3 times they canceled an illegal immigration bill. They canceled a budget bill. They're just canceling right and left actions that millions of Israelis go out and vote and go to elections and choose us, but then they annul all of this and they decide. So why go to elections? Let's just let them govern. 3 judges govern Israel. Obviously that does not make sense. So this bill, I would call it the balance bill, Piskat Izun. What we're doing is restoring the reasonable balance between the judicial system and government. And that's the way it should be. It is wrong that Bagatz is telling Tzahal how to use snipers in Gaza. That is insane. Bagatz should defend human rights, but the overwhelming activities of Bagatz have nothing to do. I'll just give you one last absurd. Do you know, we had the Yom Ha'atzmaut, Independence Day. The Prime Minister was granted a torch, the 13th torch. There was a big, foolish debate around it.
Controversy? Yeah,
controversy. You know, we are Jews after all. But guess what? The Supreme Court intervened. How does that have...
An official ceremony of the Independence Day.
How does that have to do with civil rights? No one has to teach. The right wing cares about civil rights no less than the left wing. By the way, the left wing is no less patriotic than the right wing. We all love the country. We all care about people. but this is insane, and we have to restore the sanity to Israel.
Thank you. Let's end just with your role as Minister of Diaspora Affairs. Lots of our target audience today are, of course, it's very relevant to them. What is the role, really? We're the Jewish state, the Jewish people in the state of Israel, and there are Jewish people and there are brothers. But how do you define the official role or the responsibility as the Minister of Diaspora Affairs?
Well, if I were Prime Minister of Israel, my top 3 objectives would be Israel's...
Just gave yourself another question, by the way.
No, but I'm going to get to this because it's not only about being a minister, it's about how important this is for Israel. First priority is Israel's security, Iran, etc. Second priority is Israel's internal cohesion, that we can't just go on fighting each other all day. We can argue. As I said, we are Jews. That's what Jews do. But argue within the family. But my third priority for the state of Israel is the Jews in the diaspora. We're losing millions of Jews, more than in almost any generation. And all of us, we're going to be asked 50 years from now, you knew you're losing millions of Jews. What did you do? Now, the Jews of the world have been... Israel has been the project of the Jews for the past 70 years. They sent volunteers to fight in the War of Independence. They sent money. They've always been there for us. Now it's Israel's turn to give back. And we have to partner with the Jews of the world in order to keep the Jews forever. Netzach Israel.
That could be done. There's resources, there's the will from the government?
That has to be done. This is a battle we cannot lose. I'm not giving up on any Jew. We're out there on the campuses. We're out there in schools. We're out there in Taglit. We're bringing tens of thousands of Jews. We're bringing Jewish moms on sort of a Taglit for moms things, birthright for moms. We're going to turn every stone, not leave one stone unturned, and get to every Jew in order to keep the Jews Jewish.
Wow. So last question, sorry, you said if you were Prime Minister, so as a good Jewish mother, I'd say new. Is that the next stage?
I'm very supportive of Prime Minister Netanyahu. I think he's doing a good job. We have our differences. As long as he's Prime Minister, I'm not going to vie for that position. After Netanyahu's era, I intend to become the next Prime Minister of Israel.
Through the Bayit Yehudi party?
We need to expand. The Bayit Yehudi as it is cannot be that. We have to open the Bayit Yehudi for all, anyone who believes in our values, with a kippah, without a kippah, with long sleeves, short sleeves, you name it. One thing we need to learn from Jews abroad. Here in Israel, everyone's sort of in a category. You're either chiloni, secular, dati, with a kippah sruga, a black kippah sruga. We've got all these little... In America, you're a Jew. And when I went to shul, to an Orthodox shul in America, my wife comes from a secular background. No one asked her how long her sleeve is. And she was wanted. She was loved. And it was in America, dafka in America, that my wife came close to Yahadut. So we need to import that openness for every Jew to come into the tent.
So with that message of unity, I'd like to thank you very much for being part of this Jerusalem Salute celebration. Cabinet Minister Naftali Bennett, thank you very much.
Toda rabba. Thank you.